Iowa football holds its only open practice of the fall. Of course, the last open practice before we get actual football here in a few weeks. My takeaways following my trip to Iowa City for Kids Day on Saturday. But first, before we get to the content for today's video, I want to thank, as always, Ascent Nutrition. Many people actually know the benefits, some of the benefits of DHA oil, but did you know that these benefits actually extend to athletes and active adults and children? Ascent Nutrition's algae oil DHA is an industry-unique product that is backed by strength and conditioning coaches and sports medicine clinics across the country. Your order supports the channel. Visit goascentnutrition.com. We've bumped the promo code up to a 15% discount. Go to goascentnutrition.com. This is a great deal, folks. goascentnutrition.com. Use the promo code Hawkeyes, 15% off your total order from Ascent Nutrition. So, fresh off my trip to Kids Day, and it's been a busy week. We know Media Day on Friday and an open scrimmage today. What did we learn from yet another busy day of Hawkeye football? Well, first of all, let's start with the concerns. We'll start with the bad first. I don't even necessarily want to say it's bad, but it's kind of a carryover from what we learned at Media Day. Wide receiver depth is going to be interesting because Keegan Johnson, Brody Breck did not play today, did not participate. That is not a huge surprise given what we heard from Kirk Ferentz yesterday. That's a continued question mark. Deontay Vines, we know, is out as well, as is Jackson Ritter. So Arlen Bruce had to step up. Nico Reganey had to step up. Both those guys played well. Bruce had a couple misses, had a drop early in the scrimmage, had a pass that I thought was very catchable from Spencer Petras on a deep ball, one of the few deep shots that Iowa took during the open practice, and Arlen Bruce failed to reel that one in. But I thought overall he played well. He's going to have to stay healthy, as I mentioned yesterday. Defensive line depth, I think I guess we can kind of transition to the positives. My biggest takeaway from the last 2 days, what I learned yesterday and observed today, I was a bit skeptical in the spring following Iowa's open practice. I know a lot of people were making the statement that they thought the defensive line was going to be really good, and I was a little bit hesitant to go that far, right? Needed to see more before I was going to be convinced of it, because I don't think the defensive line was great last year. I thought it had its moments. I thought they struggled to get to the quarterback majority of the year. They did pretty well in September with some stunt action stuff. They lose their best pass rusher in Van Valkenburg, and I get it. They did play better, I think 7 sacks against Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl, but that was a somewhat depleted Kentucky team in certain areas. So I needed to see more. I at this point now, just about midway through August, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this might be the deepest defensive line group since Kelvin Bell took over, and maybe even stretching further back. I think they've got potential to have 9 or 10 guys that they're comfortable with, and that's a huge, huge number. I think you get 6 to 8, great, but 9 to 10, and to have maybe 9 and 10 be Aaron Graves and Ethan Herkett, that would be fantastic, and I think they're there right now. Louis Steck saw the field a lot. Number 50, walk on. He's a guy who I think is going to see the field. Not a real big guy, but Iowa has had some success with smaller. I'm talking mainly height, right? He's got a lower center of gravity, but I think he's going to be a gap filler. He may play some. I thought he got a lot of time with the ones today, which was a bit surprising. He saw the field a lot. I would not be surprised to see him making some push for some playing time. I thought Jacob Bostic, going back to wide receiver for a second, looked really good, made a nice catch in triple coverage on a pass from Joey Labus. It was a dart, really good pass from Joe. But that's a good sign, right? The willingness to take contact, take a hit. They need him. They could use his size, his athleticism, especially with some of the injuries at wide receiver. We saw Jennings Dunker factor in with the ones at one point. Connor Colby slid out right. Nick DeYoung did not play. Kirk Ferentz said after the scrimmage that Nick DeYoung had been practicing well, and this is nothing groundbreaking, but it's nice to hear. Basically said that DeYoung is a better player than he was last year in the fall, which you expect that, but he struggled last year, so he needs to make some improvement. Was not on the field today, so Colby slides out right. Will that stay a constant? Will you see DeYoung playing one of the guard positions? I mean, Tyler Ellsbury seems to be healthy. David Cobb is not right now, so we'll see what happens, but Jennings Dunker saw some time at guard. I thought Spencer Petras played pretty well. Thought he played under control, made some nice throws. I was not blown away by what I saw from Alex Padilla or Joey Labus. I thought they were okay. But honestly, based on one practice, and anybody who watches my show knows I've been critical of Spencer Petras and critical of his play. But based on this one practice, I don't see those other guys replacing Spencer Petras. I still foresee Spencer being the starter at least week one. One thing I've observed about Alex Padilla is he kind of winds up on his throws. Spencer's got a quicker release, I think a cleaner release. Yeah, we talked about it last year. He throws a more catchable ball. I think he's probably ahead right now. And that's okay. I mean, Iowa's proven 2020 to be precise that they can have a good offense with mediocre quarterback play if the run game is working. And I thought the run game looked solid. No Gavin Williams today, who's nursing an injury. LaShawn Williams was in there. I thought he ran really well, ran hard. I could see him ending up being the starting back, especially depending on how long Gavin is out. And I thought the two freshmen looked good. Didn't see as much from Devin Hilson, but Jazian Patterson and Caleb Johnson looked good, especially Jazian. I thought he really ran with authority. He's got some nice moves, got the spin move. I think he's maybe a bit more agile than a guy like Caleb Johnson, but Caleb Johnson has the physical tools to be really good and play right away. Joey Labus had his ups and downs at quarterback. He had a couple of interceptions. I didn't think either one of those throws were a result of just bad wide receiver play. I thought they were just bad decisions on the part of Labus. But he also had some nice plays, nice throws. You can see his ability to move his feet, something we were well familiar with even from spring and last fall. He is a guy who's got some wheels, which is positive, but certainly this staff is going to value his decision-making, his pre-snap routine, and his ability to make throws and make them on target. Michael Myslinski, the backup center, guy that we expect to be the backup center, did limp off the field with a lower body injury. No word on him and his status. That's a concern because they don't have really any proven depth at center. We expect Logan Jones to be the starter. That would solidify if Myslinski misses time. That would solidify, I would think, Jones as the starter. Myslinski dealt with injuries back in the spring, I believe. Might have been even back into the 2021 year. He's been dealing with some injuries, and so that this is unfortunate to see him deal with something else. Kicking game was positive, really positive, right? Drew Stevens, Aaron Blom go a combined 15 for 15. I've talked on this channel about how Drew Stevens has been really good all summer. This is my take from the information I've been given. I think Blom was behind Stevens, even though the depth chart would have you think otherwise. But Blom really kicked well today. Both guys look like they're viable options and very competent options. Drew has the bigger leg. You could tell on some of his kicks that they did go deeper beyond the upright. But I think both guys are viable. That's good because they'll push one another in the final weeks of fall. And my guess is we're going to get some clarity because although both of them were really consistent today, there has been some inconsistency at times, even going back into the spring. And like I said, I think Drew Stevens has had the upper hand up until maybe this week. Things have evened out a bit. Blom kicking well, which is what you want here second week of August. Didn't see as much from Caden Wetjen, who I expected to see more, featured more in the return game. We just didn't see much as far as punt returning and kick returning. Will it be Arlen Bruce? Kirk Ferentz mentioned yesterday maybe Riley Moss. Could Terry Roberts or Wetjen factor in there? I've been told Wetjen has been working there quite a bit, returning punts and kicks. So we'll see what happens there. The one guy that we didn't bring up, the tight end room in general is solid at the top. I think we know what we're getting with Laporta. They lined him out wide at times, which tells me, hey, they're willing to be flexible due to a lack of receiver play. And given Sam Laporta's skill set, he's going to be kind of lined up as a wide receiver. And that gives you some flexibility. And yeah, it's going to create more of the narrative or the notion with fans and the media that could this be another Hawkinson Fant type year? I'm not willing to go that far yet, but it was nice to see Iowa willing to be flexible with Sam Laporta and, of course, Luke Lachey. Will Steven Silianos be the number 3 tight end? I'll tell you something else. I mentioned this yesterday. Kirk Ferentz made a point of bringing up Addison Estringa, who's a true freshman, just enrolled this summer. I guess I'll promote my work here for a second. I don't often do this, but I will promote this work because I'm happy to see Addison making this progress. Here's a tweet that I had published back in December after Addison Estringa had signed. I had said, and I quote, "Perhaps too early to declare this, but I'm going out on a limb and saying Wisconsin tight end Addison Estringa is the most underrated prospect in their 22 class. Good speed, terrific hands, and a desire to be great. And folks, that's exactly what we're seeing so far. Now, I know it's early, but Kirk Ferentz has made a point of bringing him up. He was really impressive today. It's hard to get in the discussion for playing time as a true freshman tight end, but Addison Estringa might be doing it, and it doesn't surprise me in the least. He was one of the lower-rated prospects according to the recruiting services, and I just didn't understand why. If you missed my interview with Addison Estringa last year, I'll put it in the link, the description below. This is a really mature kid who's got the physical tools. He's a baseball player in high school. He's got an opportunity to play early, and physically, he's kind of already there. I think Cale Vanderbush, didn't see him today, but I think he's a bit behind from a physical standpoint. Addison Estringa could end up seeing playing time, at least on special teams. He may end up seeing time on offense, maybe as that tight end 3. We'll see how Steven Stilianos, who's really physically developed because he's a transfer in from Lafayette, we'll see how he continues to learn the offense and progress as we head into the final part of fall camp. More coverage right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. I'll be speaking with the voice of college football, Mark Rogers, this coming Tuesday. We have a live show every Tuesday over at the Iowa Football, the voice of college football YouTube channel. Iowa Hawkeyes live every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Keep it locked in right here and over there for college football, Iowa college football content throughout fall camp, into the season, and beyond. Want to let you know, too, I will be uploading footage from Media Day yesterday, including coach and player interviews. So stick right here, turn notifications on, make sure you subscribe first, turn notifications on, hit the thumbs up for this video. Keep it locked here. Hawkeye content all year round. We'll talk to you soon.